John, I have a customer that happens to be a bank, and I've been working with them, and they have a problem that they'd like to see if Vanguard has a solution for. They're currently today using the Vanguard Multifactor Authentication using RSA for their internal folks for multi-factor authentication back to, in this case, the mainframe. And they've decided they want to extend multi-factor authentication to their customers. And they realize that they can't actually go out and buy a token for every one of their customers. So
a little expensive, huh?
yeah, they priced it out. It was very expensive.
Oh, okay.
And they realized that there are a number of other open standards, like OAuth and some of the back-end services where you can actually get on your phone a application that'll generate a multi-factor authentication token for you. Whether it displays it to you or whether you press a button when you go to log on, either one of those is communication to the mobile platform.
There's lots of them.
And what they're wondering is if they can leverage their current Vanguard multi-factor authentication solution to not only continue to use RSA internally, but also be able to externally allow their customers to use like a mobile OAuth authentication, so that when the customers go to log into their bank accounts, they'll have their multi-factor authentication soft token on their phone.
Well, we have different ways to handle this solution, and you hit a couple of key points here. You have RSA today, and you know that works flawlessly.
Yes, it does.
You can extend that anywhere you want. You can just check your elevated privilege users. You can have every user in the bank. That's fine. But now when you start talking about using more than one type of multi-factor, that's a good point. We offer, our solution doesn't care, to be perfectly honest. If you want to talk to RSA, we got you covered. You want to use an OAuth, your telephone, you want to use a dual mobile device, you want to use all of these different things. We even have ones that don't require devices, by the way. We have an email version that will go to an SMS text phone, so the person doesn't even have to buy an application. So we can go with application-based, and there's many vendors out there. OTPs out there, OAuths out there, HOTPs out there, duals out there. There's like, you could probably go to the App Store today and probably see 35, 40 different ones out there.
Right.
Whatever one you like. We probably support most of the open standards out there today. But there are going to be customers you got to be aware of that may not want to actually go and plug into an App Store. So we actually have one that does not require an app also. And you can pick and choose each and every one of them.
So how would that multi-factor authentication work? Because you have to some way communicate the token to the end user.
We can handle SMS or SMTP, which are mail services that are out there. Text messaging, you're familiar with that, right?
Right.
You know, hey John, are you there? We can actually send a one-time password through a text message or through a send mail. In other words, an email, maybe go to Yahoo, go to Google, go to whoever you want. So we can send them a message through different methods. And it doesn't require a client. They can get it on their cell phone, they can get it on their email client, they can go to Yahoo, you know, they can log in someplace else. We even have one that's a web-based one. They can press a button on a website and get one.
So that all sounds really interesting, and I'm sure my clients can be, have more questions, but I have a question right off the bat, and that is, can they leverage their existing solution while they're extending it to their customers? In other words, keep using RSA and have a different authentication.
Yes. This is actually by user. You could actually have some people have Duo, some people have OTP, some people have RSA, some people have a different one. You can mix and match by the user, or even by the user. I could have two different applications for the same user having different ones.
So,
interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting, and it brings up the other question the customer had, and that is the username that is associated with the account is sometimes different from the username that's stored internally in their database.
Oh, okay.
In an RSA today, they say they've got a way to set up an alias in RSA, and they can also do it in the Vanguard product. Does that work through all of these solutions as well?
Yes, it does, yeah. The alias, I mean, that's a good name for it. A lot of times, if I go out to Microsoft, my identity happens to be my email, right? If my Apple identity is a shorter version, my internal IDs, probably 8 or 9 characters, they're all different.
So
okay?
you could be John Connors on one and the
Terminator on another one, in a heartbeat.
And it'll always go back to
It'll
the,
always go back to the right one.
well, that's really cool. Thanks, I'll let them know.
You know?